The new teaser for the next episode of Miraculous, Werepapas, just dropped. So today I want to talk about what to expect from this episode for the English speakers who haven't seen it yet. So let's break it down. The description for the episode says that this episode focuses on Adrien meeting his grandparents for the first time, with Marinette trying to crash this reunion to support him. According to the description, however, she is unaware that a family war is about to break out, with both of Adrien's grandpas getting akumatized. Now this episode is obviously very focused on family, and the teaser shows us both Marinette and Adrien's extended families with their grandparents. With season 6 being something of a soft reboot for the show, I've been waiting for an episode focusing on the characters' families to establish where they all are after the end of the Gabriel arc. For Marinette, it seems like her family is very happy for her to be dating Adrien, but that they love to snoop around and interfere a bit, spying on Marinette as she tries to talk to Adrien on her phone. This isn't just her mother and father, but also her grandma and grandpa. This is good foreshadowing because in a previous episode, this entire family became akumatized while arguing over what is right for Marinette, with her parents and her grandparents all being at odds over what is okay for Marinette to do as a teenager. This is a similar story to what we should be getting with Adrien and his family, though things are going to be a lot more intense than with Marinette's family, as they were arguing over very small things compared to what Adrien's grandparents are arguing over, which seems to pretty obviously be whether or not Adrien should be living with one of them instead of with Natalie. Previously, Adrien had met the aunt on his mother's side, his mom's twin sister, as she had insisted on visiting with Felix. But both Amelie and Felix had ulterior motives. They were there mostly to get back the twin rings that Adrien's mother had inherited from their parents, something Amelie wanted to pass down to her own son. Gabriel seemed to keep people away from Adrien in the last year before his own death, and even before then, Adrien had never met his grandparents. So it makes sense that this plot would be about them suddenly wanting to take care of him. Gabriel seems to have his own personal issues with his mother and father that kept them out of his life as an adult, or at least as soon as he became a parent to Adrien. And Emily's parents never approved of Emily marrying Gabriel, and thus Gabriel kept them out of Adrien's life. Since the end of season 5, Adrien has been under the care of Natalie, something Gabriel and even Emily wanted for him. Near that big finale, we learn that Adrien's mother struggled to conceive and that the only way she and Amelie were able to have their sons was by creating centimonsters using the peacock Miraculous. The fact that both girls managed to get pregnant even after the family's wealth couldn't pay for a medical solution likely was quite the mystery to the grandparents. And to keep them from figuring out exactly what went on, Gabriel would have even more reason to keep them away from Adrien. Adrien wasn't just a son they could interfere with, but a creation of magic, and the more people that poke holes in Gabriel's life, the harder it is for him to maintain his role as the villain of Paris. With that in mind, these two grandpas seem to get akumatized and become the Werepapas, two werewolves with boxing gloves who are battling it out to see who gets to adopt Adrien. Natalie will likely be nervous all episode leading up to this, wanting to please Adrien's grandparents and have him form a bond with them, but also being worried that they will want to take Adrien away, that they will see her as a not legitimate parent or guardian. And if Adrien was any other child, maybe she would allow this. Maybe she would end up thinking that it's best for him to be with his family one way or another. But Adrien is a centimonster, as we said, and someone needs to be in his life taking care of him in case anything goes wrong in that regard. What's really interesting about Natalie here is that she has a new design for season 6 where her hair is now mostly red instead of mostly blue with just a little bit of red. This is some obvious light and dark symbolism in my opinion, matching the pattern of yin and yang in the show, dark and light. In the show, Ladybug represents light, with her color being red instead of white because ladybugs represent good luck or creation, with black, or perhaps dark blue in this case, representing the darkness of the yin-yang wheel. With that in mind, Natalie having her hair be more red now seems to symbolize moving from being a balance of light and dark while working for Gabriel, to now just being a person of light. A character whose colors more so match Ladybug now because she is more good like Ladybug. While working for Gabriel, she was his light side, but she also would do dark things for him. So it makes sense that her hair would have just a little bit of red and a lot of blue. However, she was also his conscience in a way, the one who challenged Gabriel when he let his obsession cloud his judgment, instead of focusing on his actual goals, and eventually turning against him to focus on just taking care of Adrien when he begins to go mad with power. Adrien is not alone at this dinner, however, and we see in the trailer that Marinette does in fact crash the party as the description said. Not as Adrien Adrien's girlfriend, but by disguising herself as a maidservant in Adrien's home so she can basically spy on the entire thing. I have to imagine that she'll try to interfere and say things that make it sound like Adrien's life is doing okay, but accidentally word it so that it makes Adrien's grandparents worried about him. As per usual, it's Marinette's interference that might lead to the akumatizations, and it doesn't stop at the Werepapas. The Werepapas being akumatized leads to them just fighting each other, it seems, in a gay furry werewolf boxing contest where Adrien is trapped inside of a trophy as the prize that they can win. One of the grandmas also appears to get akumatized in this, turning herself into a referee type character. It's interesting to have so many akumatized villains in one episode that aren't just repeat victims, and I think it shows how Lila focuses a lot more on elaborate plans than Gabriel did. She's not just turning one person to a villain and demanding the miraculous in return. She transforms them, then slowly manipulates them, waiting for the right opportunity and distracting Ladybug with what seems like an unrelated plan before going for her actual miraculous. We see in one shot that Adrien does have two complete sets of grandparents, one rich on his mother's side and one more poor on his father's side. Despite his father becoming a world-famous fashion designer and businessman, these rich parents of Emily didn't approve of her marrying Gabriel. He was a poor man at the time and not from nobility, so not a suitable husband to help Emily take over the throne for whatever distant line of royalty she was in. On the other side of the table, we get the more casual-looking couple, Gabriel's parents, who I am much more curious to meet. Gabriel acts more like he came from wealth, treating Marinette like she could only ever rely on someone like him because of her lower station in life, even though he started out not much different from her and with similar aspirations for fame and fashion. The casual grandmother from Gabriel's side can be seen in one shot just hiding in the background as the Adrien trophy gets raised into the sky, and I think it's possible she might be the one to defuse the situation in the end. Someone in the family should be the one to say that Natalie is clearly the right choice, pointing out how both dads already fumbled the situation to take care of Adrien when they began fighting. Hopefully she or someone recognizes the good in Natalie, and that leads to us reaffirming the setup at the end of season 5, as it's not like I expect any of these characters to become permanent residents in Adrien's life, though it would be great for them to continue to visit from time to time. All in all, this looks like another fun episode, and with it already airing in Brazil, I'm hearing there's some really interesting revelations, lore, and mysteries that appear in the episode as well, particularly surrounding Adrien's identity as a Sentimonster. What I'm really happy about, however, is just getting to see Marinette's parents in the new style. While Tom does look a little different, they all look basically the same to their original designs, and it's kind of weird how similar they look to their previous models, while Marinette, Adrien, and a few of the other cast members look a bit weirder. I think this preview and these characters kind of prove the idea that the new Miraculous Ladybug models were designed with their masks on first, as a lot of fans seem to agree that in their superhero suits, the characters look absolutely amazing. Whereas when Marinette and Adrien in particular take off their masks, they look a bit odd, almost as if they were meant to have more masks on their faces that was removed to make their mask pop more. That's my theory so far at least, but I could be wrong, and it could be revealed that they use different models for their civilian and super forms, not just costume changes. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you think will happen in the episode if you haven't seen it, and if you have seen it, don't post any spoilers in the comments and just talk about the new art style. Watch my previous Miraculous Ladybug video on how yin yang affects the show, or come down to the Cartoon Universe Discord server to talk with me about Miraculous Ladybug. See you guys there.